Let's have a look at the view, Gina. Just show me what you can see.
Oh, well, we're in like a back unit.
Okay.
But it's gorgeous here. We come here, it's kind of a concrete jungle, but you know, so like I just go downstairs from my house, my little apartment, my friend's dog. And, you know, like we have all our gear here, all our surfboards and supboards. And then you just walk right out. Oh my God, look what's coming down the pipe. Sea. Yeah, like I'm right on the ocean. Check this out.
Look at that. Oh, wow. Look at that. My son would love that. That's a massive lizard.
What are you doing?
Is that an iguana?
Yeah, it's an iguana. I just like him. Yeah, they're all over the place. And now the wind is on it. But I was out sup surfing early this morning. I go out for free. Yeah, it's fantastic here.
That is amazing. How long have you been there for then?
About a month now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it's really, hold on, let me flip my camera back. Not as good on Zoom. There we go. Yeah, my husband and I, we used to live here, not in this area. We lived in a different area, and we decided that we needed to come back here. We have 2 kids, and one of them is in college, and one just went to boarding school for golf. And and so we were like, let's just go take January and hang out in Puerto Rico. So we rented this unit here, and we kind of go back and forth between here and an area called Rincon, which is just the surf capitals of Puerto Rico. It's incredible surfing.
So Gina Bradley has a history of teaching sports, water sports, and fitness throughout her life. As owner of Paddle Diva, a woman's stand-up paddleboarding centre, she provides her clients with inspiration, encouragement, and gives them an overall mind-body awareness that makes her a unique ASI certified SUP instructor. So where did all of your kind of interest in water sports and fitness come from? Where did it all start?
I was always an active person. At about age 17, I was actually diagnosed with scoliosis, but it was like sort of already after my growth spurt, so I couldn't get a brace or anything. But the one thing the doctor told me, and it sort of stuck with me forever, was that if I stayed fit, I would never have a problem in my life. And so without a lot of, you know, going over to the other edge or getting too crazy, I immersed myself in a lifestyle of trying to stay as fit as I possibly could while being a normal human. So I used to take my summers and I would go on bicycle trips all around the world, like as a teenager, and then I would lead them. I went to a college where it was in Vermont, so I could ski and study. And then when I got out of college, I went to the Caribbean. You know, I think my parents were a little disappointed because they were sort of like, all this money and now you're going to spend it in the Caribbean. But I was very directed with what I did. And so, you know, I guess my commitment to the water and being fit has just sort of come about my quest for living a great life, and a life that is filled with passion and interests.
And it's interesting that you can, you know, you've made some really amazing choices sort of with your life, and it sounds to me like you've really seen a lot of the world. And I think sometimes some of us, you know, we almost don't see that down the end of our driveway, as it were, and it seems to me like you've really kind of embraced lots of different, and you've seen lots of different places, people and cultures as well. So how have you found that that's sort of shaped you as a person to sort of where you are now? Has there been any one particular sort of moment during all of those times that you've kind of gone, well, this is where I am, this is who I am? Or,
you know, I've managed to eke out a lifestyle for myself. I do have 2 kids, and I'm married, and I've started a business. So I've been able to kind of take the things that really do drive me, which is a freer lifestyle, and one that's not sort of mired in social norms. I think the biggest moment I had where I realized, you know, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I want to do, was it must have been like in college. I just remember thinking, I don't want to go to New York and I don't want to get a job just to get a job. And just like, I just didn't want to do that. And so I packed up and went to the Caribbean for 5 years. And every step I made and everything I did throughout the 5 years in the Caribbean was always a resume builder. Along the way, I've met so many incredible people, from Laird Hamilton to, board shapers like Joe Blair, who's staying right next door to me, to people like Tom from the ASI, to the different instructors at the ASI. Like, I've just been so lucky because I meet so many like-minded people, and it only reinforces my decision to do this.
So I bet that also has had an impact on your children as well, the way that they've seen you grow and your lifestyle and what you do.
My daughter's her first year in college, and she's having a really hard time. I think a lot of kids were hit by COVID, and especially the ones that entered college this year, because they had sort of a year and a half where they were supposed to be cooked more, and we kind of sent them to college uncooked. And she's having a really hard time. And it's so funny because her dream was to move down here, because she basically has been raised here in the winters, and work at the surf stands. And I sat her down and I said, you have to hear about my 5 years in the Caribbean, because I didn't just hang out in the Caribbean for those 5 years. I really built myself. So yeah, I think my kids have seen it. My son is an avid golfer, and he's got the makings to be a pro. We'll see. I mean, he's got the talent as well. So he's on a whole different path. He would be so mad if we took him down here, because all he wants to do is practice golf. It's interesting, what the impact your choices can have on your kids, and helping them make choices that allow them to figure out that you can sort of live your best life.
Absolutely. The journey of a parent is definitely an exciting one with every single emotion you can imagine. Paddle Diva. So tell me a little bit about that. How does that work? It sounds like you're not just teaching paddleboarding there. There's a lot more involved. So inspiring, encouraging people, mind body awareness, that whole kind of tuning everything in our mind and our body, I'm guessing, to the ocean as well. So tell me a little bit about that, Gina. How does that work?
I started Paddle Diva in East Hampton because I really realized, coming from the water sports background I have, that it was important to bring accessibility to a sport that was really not being considered very accessible. So I started it in 2009 and have built it since then. And it's really it's been a growing business, and it's been something that I love to do. It operates in the Hamptons. It's mostly in the Hamptons, although I'm really looking to expand the business in and of itself. The ASI has been a huge partner for me, because what the ASI has been able to do is sort of put in standards in place for all my instructors and teaching. But so it's basically, if you think about Paddle Diva, come on up. If you think about Paddle Diva, it's like a paddleboarding center. You come and, you can sign up for classes. I kind of fashioned it against almost like a fitness studio. It's like you come to my place and you can take stand-up paddleboarding lessons. You can take fitness classes on the board, and they're set during the day. We do board rentals, but we're really careful. We've evolved with our board rentals because, in the beginning, board rentals were something that we would never offer because nobody had experience. But now, fast forward 10 years later, people have more experience. So our board rentals, have taken off a little bit more. So it's just a great business. It's a great brand. It's visual, so it gets people interested in paddleboarding. It's very accessible. And, you can liken it to really any stand-up paddleboarding shop that you might come across. Mine's just different because of the name and face behind it.
And is it, you might correct me if I'm wrong here, so is it just for women?
It started out, I started out sort of targeting women, because I thought, that'll be so easy. That'll be such a great, and I did have mostly women, but now I would say it's about 60% women, 40% men. It's a very large male population as well, because in New York and in the Hamptons, in the market that I work in, very different from most other places. New Yorkers like to be handheld. They like one-on-one instruction, men and women. Fathers come with sons and daughters, girlfriends and boyfriends come. It's kind of, and for whatever reason, they want the instruction.
I see. It's one thing. I run a SUP school in the UK, and it's really interesting. One of the things I've been focusing on is learning about almost different, I call them subcultures. And even in the UK, we've got sort of different cultures, really. I'm probably from where I am. It's right in the middle of the country. So, you know, our waterways are rivers and lakes and canals and things like that. And it's almost like a separate culture to stand-up paddleboarders who, you know, down in the coastal areas of the UK. And it's kind of like sometimes we're all the same, you know, we all do the same sort of thing, but they're completely new. I think that's the exciting thing about it, is that there were people who weren't there before, but they are now. And it's due to the accessibility. I don't know what it is. It's almost like that little, it's almost like a little bit of magic, isn't it? You teach somebody how to paddleboard and you just see their face light up, and it opens so many kind of doorways for them. I mean, that's the bit that I absolutely love about teaching. I guess you probably feel the same way you are.
Absolutely. And you're right about the different subcultures. You know, like here in Puerto Rico, I did have a Paddle Diva open briefly, but it's different. It's just, you know, and so and this is why trying to license or branch out a brand, or even take your business and take it on the road, because we're sort of ingrained in our little communities and we know our cultures where we are. It's like we've tailored our businesses for them. But yeah, it's pretty incredible. Like here, you know, you have more waves, you don't have so many enclosed waters, it's a little more advanced. And the notion of taking people out on an hour-long tour is so different than the Hamptons, where people want their hour tour. They want to get in there, they want to do their hour tour, and they want to get out. So, you know, it's just very different.
What would be perhaps your best advice to give to somebody who is a nervous paddler? So you might have a student who turns up who really wants to do it, but they're really anxious. They might have had a bad experience before in the water or something like that. What would you normally advise for the kind of the nervous paddler?
I try to remove their fear quickly. We usually start people out on their knees, and I say to them, you can just stay on your knees the whole time. And, you know, you just kind of have to, it's almost like you have to just sort of encourage them. Like, this is, I know it looks scary, it looks intimidating, but this is a sport that's really, really easy. It's not like skiing. There's no, you know, if the bindings aren't right, you could break your ankle. Like, it's just so forgiving, and you can work at it at any level you want. And so I also tell the nervous paddler who might want to take up the sport but doesn't think they could even stand, is I just have them right in their living room. I say 3 times, go from a kneel to a stand. And basically you want to put your feet exactly where your knees were. Like, just practice doing that. And it's such an easy move. And I say, if you can go from kneeling to standing by placing your feet exactly where your knees were, you can paddle.
Have you got any interesting stories from when you are, you know, you operating? It doesn't have to be a SUP instructor, to be honest with you, Gina. It could be when you're a dive instructor, windsurf instructor. You know, I'm just sort of trying to pick your brains for some one of those, perhaps those quirky days, or, you know, something like that. Have you got a story you can share with us in that respect?
You know, I have, you know, one of the things that I love to do with my clients is get them to just don't ask where we're going. Don't ask how long. And I just had this one client that just kept asking again and again and again, you know, where are we going? How much further? Where are we going? And, you know, finally I just looked at her and I just said, you got to shut up. You got to just enjoy this. And literally the next day she came back with a t-shirt. She had made it a t-shirt shop because she really did get it, finally saying, where are we going? And then on the back it said, Karen, shut the F up.
I love it.
Yeah. You know, I've also had people out on the water with me who literally were like halfway across the channel and they go, oh, by the way, I don't swim. The minute that happens, I tend to get very close to them. I remind them, because in the US we have to wear leashes, and through ASI we have to wear leashes. But I always say, you know, okay, well, you've got your leash on, you've got your life jacket on. Often we use life belts, which are, you would activate them, and so I try to quickly reassure them. And then as an instructor, I'm immediately kind of close to them, because what I can do as an instructor is I can see somebody before they're going to make the mistake, other than just that odd when somebody just topples off their board. But I can sort of correct them in the moment so that they don't fall in.
What is it that you like about being with the ASI, being an instructor for the ASI? What is it that kind of drew you to the ASI?
I was a dive instructor. And so when I started my paddleboarding business, I really wanted to find something that had that sort of same structure as PADI, which is out of Australia. And I remember when I came across the ASI, Tanya had just sent me, I must have gotten on a mailing list, and I got a blast email about this instructor course. And I was just like fascinated by it. And I remember thinking, and this was the best part, and now as a master trainer, I get this all the time. I was like, well, I don't need to take the course. I've been teaching for a year or two already in my own business. And what I found, and it was really an incredible experience, was that when Tanya came with the team and Will taught the class, Will and Udo, I realized how much I actually needed to know and didn't know. A lot with the stroke and technique stuff, but that it really dawned on me how amazing the ASI is in really taking somebody who thinks they have the most amount of experience. And from my background, I have a lot of experience, but it really shows you that there's so much more there. And so what I find with the ASI is that it's an incredible resource for both instructors like myself, shop owners, but also for just the everyday person, because it sets a standard that gives people an incredible confidence that where they're going, they're going to get great instruction.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, of course. What do you think it is about SUP that has made it? I mean, certainly in the UK, it's absolutely exploded. Suddenly loads of people want to do it. It's somebody told me today that the participation in it has gone up by 300% or something like that. And then I think for us in the UK, when we had the COVID with the pandemic that's still going, of course, during those lockdowns, a lot of people weren't going abroad because they couldn't, and they wanted to find things to do, and they kind of found stand-up paddleboarding. So we suddenly found that, as a SUP school owner as well, I've got loads of people really kind of wanting to come in and have lessons. So obviously in your neck of the woods, did you find a similar kind of thing happening, or is it stayed the same?
It's becoming more popular, not less, which is good, because I think I was seeing a level off of paddleboarding. Like I would say in about 2017, 18, I had quieter years in my business. And, I'm so nimble, and I'm able to sort of scale up or scale back for the season. I didn't like have a dramatic impact on me. Because I'm more service-based than I was gear. I don't sell as much gear as I sell services, and that's got a higher profit margin. So what I did notice is right after the pandemic, my best season ever was the year of the pandemic. 2020 was incredible. I mean, it was just truly the most incredible year. And that summer was just great. And last summer as well. So I see that people have really taken to it, because it's not in a gym. It's a great form of exercise. And I think that, I do think that there's going to, because of the awareness around outdoor and activities, I think that SUP's going to survive. I think that in some ways the pandemic was helpful. I don't think stand-up paddleboarding, like windsurfing and some of the other sports that sort of faded away, is going to necessarily fade away. I think there's so many more people who are going to want to try it and continue to do it, either on vacation or in their hometowns.
It's funny, isn't it, how we're on opposite sides of the globe and we're seeing exactly the same trends, aren't we? Dare I ask, if you get spare time, what kind of things do you like to do in your downtime? You mentioned this morning, actually, you're out SUP surfing, so I imagine and you showed me some lovely looking waves. So I imagine there's a fair bit of that goes on. So yeah, what would you like to get up to in your spare time?
I love walking. I love walking in the woods. I love my husband and I find trails in the jungle here, and we'll hike for hours. I love walking my dog. That what I would say would be like my number one favorite thing to do is take a walk with a girlfriend if I can't paddleboard. The other thing I love to do is SUP surf, and I love cooking. So, I would say in my spare time, I do have a lot of it now, especially with 2 of the kids being both gone to college. I would say cooking. I love to cook. It is actually one of my favorite things to do.
Favorite dish or a signature dish?
Not really. I just eat vegetables like it is my job, like salads and stir fries. My husband always laughs. He's like, I don't think I've ever met anybody who likes to eat vegetables as much as you do. And I'm like, I know. I love anything from the earth.
What are the plans for the future, Gina? Have you got anything in the pipeline there? Anything going on?
Well, I'm excited about the ASI. They've just announced sort of that sort of standards committee, which I'm really looking forward to being part of.
Good.
I believe so much in stand-up paddleboarding, and I believe so much in continuing to help to be leaders in the industry and help it grow. So that's something I'm really going to focus on in my future. Paddle Diva is going to have a new location in the Hamptons this coming summer. I'm very excited about it. I'm switching from one marina to the next. Change is great because it makes me rethink my business, even if it's from a location to a location. I think I just want to keep getting people on the water, as many as I can. Like, my goal is to get, at least 1,000 people every summer on the water. And if I keep doing that, that's my future.
You mentioned earlier in your in the conversation we had that you'd met Laird Hamilton, and how was he? Was he does he live up to the reputation?
He and his wife Gabby came to the Hamptons to do their training. It's called XPT training. A lot of people on the East Coast didn't even know who Laird Hamilton was, so they were having sort of trouble filling it. And their people asked me, "Hey, would Paddle Diva be interested in like participating or getting some of her clients?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?" So that's kind of how I met them. And I was fortunate enough in the beginning of XPT to be on their advisory team just briefly until they kind of got bought and became more professional. So I got to work with them at least on 3 of their trainings. And I have to say, I love Gabby and Laird. They're super authentic people. Laird is super playful. He's respectful too of me. I mean, one time we had taken everybody paddling and everybody had to go do another activity, but Laird and I stayed in the water and we sort of surfed in this one area of the Hamptons. And I thought to myself, how is it that any little chick from New York is surfing with Laird Hamilton? He's a great guy. He's a lot of ego. It's probably easier being a female friend to him than a male friend to him. But not really. I think he is just truly one of my more favorite humans because his love for the ocean supersedes everything else. And if you have that, I'm speaking the same language.
He's foiling now, isn't he? And have you had any experience yet of being on a foil or?
I'm not a fan of them. I could sell it. I prefer to my clients, but I'm not a fan of motorized sports. The motored ones. I'm not a fan of those. I mean, it's fun. I got up, I foiled around, but I don't know. I don't love it. I also have been a purist. Like, I just windsurfed. I never took up kiteboarding. There's something about all that equipment I don't know. I'm not as big into it. It's not for me. And and it's more because I think it just complicates it. It's like, it's enough just to be on the water. It's enough to feel the water. And that's enough for me.
Thank you very much for your time, Gina. Really appreciate that. Have a lovely rest of your day.
You too. Take care.